Okay, they are voting today on the climate change bill that is completely secret and now rumored to be over 1,500 pages. Last time they reported it yesterday, it was 1,300. But they admittedly are adding hundreds of pages as we speak. No one is allowed to see it. The 200-page version we saw, it is estimated, they even admit, a $2,500 a year increase in taxes. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, all admit it is the largest tax increase in history. But it's not just that. It's a total takeover of every facet of society, with bureaucracy and something akin to zoning, home inspections, inspections of your trash. It's all being announced. That's in the 200 pages that we saw last week and on Monday. It is now over 1,300. It is now over 1,300 pages. And get this, no one is allowed to read it. In fact, I meant to print last night, guys, a CBS News headline, "Will Congress read the climate bill?" Print that for me, because I want to later on TV when we go live next hour, hold that up, because we have a lot of new viewers that are watching, and I want them to see CBS, because they won't believe me. But when they see their God, CBS, the same one that tells them about Michael Jackson's latest nose surgery, they will then understand it's not even being read. Special interests are writing the entire thing. And big corporations, big energy, they're all behind it. The controlled left always says the big oil doesn't believe in global warming. They're trying to shut it down. Oh, now even mainstream news has to admit that the big oil companies and energy companies wrote this. This is a tax. Who do you think owns those energy companies? The big banks. This will be a tax directly to offshore banks and to Al Gore. Now, that little creature was going to get up on the Hill and give a speech yesterday, but he's so unpopular that they have made the decision to not have him up there and to try to not cover the bill. See, when they thought they had the momentum, they were hyping that the earth was going to die and the ice caps were melting and polar bears were about to go extinct and were drowning. Actual mainstream news is teaching everybody that polar bears can't swim, and now all those lies are coming out. Now it's coming out when they show a polar bear on an ice floe going, look, he can't find his family. He's going to die. When the ice melts, he'll die. He can't swim. That they swim out to the ice floes that are in the spring and summer every year, and that they then hunt seal and smaller whale, beluga, from the floes, and then they swim back. And that polar bear populations in North America have gone up from 34,000 in the last survey to over 44,000. You can pull that number up. Just Google polar bear numbers explode, because the warming trend, and they've also done the archaeological analysis with the zoologists and found that during warming trends, their numbers go up. When it gets cold, their numbers go down, because when the Arctic warms, there's more life. But unfortunately, it's cooling now, so their numbers will go down. And they'll no doubt tell you that global warming did that in 10 years when you find out there's less of them. So their numbers go up and down, up and down, up and down. A lot of polar bears don't make it through the winter. In fact, a lot of polar bears don't get hardly any food during the winter, if any. That's why they blubber up eating whales and seal in the spring and summer, sometimes increasing their body weight by 40%. They get real fat in the summer, and then they go and are basically in semi-hibernation out there just laying there in the frozen waste during the winter. I'm already digressing. To say that polar bears can't swim is a lie of biblical proportions. But the issue here is they're making their move today. And later in the hour, I'm going to give you the toll-free number. Why? Al Gore admittedly is at his home manning the phones. They have every big think tank, every big tax-free foundation. They have every large paid-off Acorn-type government group. They have the NFL promoting it. They have all the companies owned by Rupert Murdoch. He admittedly has given teleconferences saying he is trying to push in TV and movies that global warming is real. We need a global tax. Rex Tillerson, ExxonMobil, saying it's real. We've got to have a global tax. This is their final push to micromanage and regulate every facet of your life selectively. This is the neo-serfdom and feudalism, where they can come in and shut down whoever they want, and only those that are given the letter of mark by the global imperium are able to operate and live. Now, this is the managed economy. This is the new global Soviet Union, basically run by private banks. This is total control. I'm going to break it all down today, and then just in off-the-charts news, dealing with Bernanke before Congress saying Congress has no authority to regulate the issuance of currency and credit, though Article 1, Section 8 expressly states that in the U.S. Constitution. It's a total insult to Congress, to the American people, but it's an insult the American people deserve. I would imagine 1 out of 100 people knows that Congress is over money. So we're going to go over that today. And he calls it a seizure of power, a dictatorial martial law ransacking of America to have Congress audit the Fed. And then he threatens financial terrorism, that our society is going to collapse if this happens. Now, listen, I'm going to go over this. The Michael Jackson thing of him reportedly dying from a opiate, a painkiller injection. This is the biggest diversion, the biggest distraction I have seen in a while. On top of Farrah Fawcett and the governor and his lover. I mean, that was clearly staged. I mean, there's no doubt they knew where he was. TSA knew where he was. Feds knew where he was. The feds were like for days, we don't know where he is, as if they didn't know his passport and he left the country, which is now on record. And then suddenly the newspaper has all his lovey-dovey emails, just like the FBI had been following and watching Elliot Spitzer for years. And in the minute he said he was going to go after the banks for the takeover, they bring out his hooker liaisons. They got dirt on basically everybody. And if you are as pure as a driven snow, they'll manufacture it. If you do live some pious life, like I got to say I do, they could make something up if they wanted to. They got endless informants and people that'll just lie on the stand. This is how they operate. So they can't get dirt on you, they make it up. They tell Ron Paul, oh, we're going to interview you. Please come to this hotel suite. And he walks in and Sacha Baron Cohen drops his pants and says, have sex with me, and goes chasing him out the door. And the media says, Ron Paul's bad. Doesn't matter, they tricked him and he ran out of the room. He's still bad. See how that works? And the public loves seeing big people torn down. So they say, yeah, Ron Paul's evil. Doesn't matter if he got set up and ran out of the room when Sacha Baron Cohen drops his pants and says, I want to have sex with you. This is how they operate. This is what they do. So understand this. There is almost no news coverage on CNN and Fox about what's really in this climate bill. And instead, everything is now Michael Jackson. And Jaron at 10:05 Central Standard Time was watching TV here in the office coffee room. And I want Jaron Neihart, who works here running the show, doing a great job, to relay to you what he saw today. But we're going to desperately, because we have millions of listeners, give the phone numbers out and try to counter Al Gore and all the big foundations. Now, the phones are busy most of the time, but you can also call the regional office of your congressman and ask them to call the back lines and tell them. You should go to the Capitol today. It's that desperate. I should have done this days ago. Jaron, tell folks what you witnessed this morning.
Yeah, about 10:05, I believe the show is called CNN Newsroom. I was flipping around, and I landed on that to see any information on this bill. That's what I was actually looking, and it was Michael Jackson all the time. Well, they had Michael Jackson scrolls, Michael Jackson thirds, everything was Michael Jackson. And as soon as I got there, I heard the news anchor say, we're going to cut to the House of Representatives where a congressperson from California was going to observe a moment of silence for Michael Jackson. They then cut to live coverage of the House of Representatives, but they had missed the moment of silence. The person that they aired was actually talking about, and they say the bill name, they say, we're going to discuss H.R. 2454, whatever the title, climate change and secure. And when they said security, they cut it off, went back to the newsroom and goes, oh, I guess we missed the moment of silence for Michael Jackson. But it was out there as a blurb, just a complete misedit. That
Burmis made the point that when he was driving through, because I didn't finish the story earlier, when he was driving through a big smoothie chain to get a pomegranate smoothie, the lady was saying a discount if you can basically sing a Michael Jackson song to me, and Burmis wouldn't do it. But he said, imagine if the people at the checkout windows were saying, hey, what about H.R. 2454 bringing us into bondage? I mean, the people pushing the bill say it's going to cost $2,500 a year. But that was when it was 200 pages long. It's over 1,300. They say they've added hundreds more. No one can see it. That in and of itself, they're rushing it through, saying no one can see it. They're trying to pass bills for the feds to take over the whole water supply, but you can't get the slaves to stop letting the mainstream media set the agenda and set what's being discussed.
Not only that, it took me a half an hour last night to get the bill number. I searched headline after headline, article after article saying biggest tax on the American people. Read the full article. It's not anywhere. It took about 10 articles to find the bill number buried in one article. You can't find information on it. They're just not giving it.
And they're always changing it because it came out of conference, earlier this week, and now suddenly they're about to pass it. Says, will Congress read bills before voting? CBS News.